Am I the idiot for telling my dad cheating is what got us here, not my mom? My parents divorced when I was 7 after my mom found out dad had been cheating on her for 5 years with someone she considered to be her friend. The reveal of the affair came during my birthday party, which we celebrated late because dad made up some story about an old friend dying and going to the funeral when he was actually with her for an ultrasound after learning she was pregnant. My mom never got over what they did to her. I think what made it worse is 2 people betrayed her instead of 1, because if our friends are willing to hurt us like this, then we're screwed. My dad married his affair partner. They have 6 children together now. My mom has stayed away from them as much as humanly possible. She told me a long time ago that she loved me, wanted me to be happy and loved and not to be distant from them for her, but that she would never be able to play happy families with my dad and his wife and their kids because some hurts are too deep and painful to move on from. When stay in place was ordered, things between my mom and dad deteriorated after my dad asked if mom would take his other 6 kids into her home so the siblings could see each other, since both he and his wife were frontline workers and had planned to send them somewhere to limit their exposure. Mom said hell no. She was pissed as hell at dad for asking, while dad was pissed as hell that she didn't force me to go to his in-laws to spend time with my siblings while we weren't legally allowed to meet up with others. Things are the same now. Only my mom suffered less financially through the pandemic. After a while, my dad and his wife left their jobs when it got too much and their financial stability took a huge hit. My dad can't afford to throw a graduation party for me, which is fine. But he and his family are not welcome to the one my mom is hosting. He was bitching about them missing out on celebrating with me because of my mom. I told him it was because of his affair and not my mom. That he was the one who betrayed her over and over again, disrespected her, and then expected her to act like none of that happened so he could act like the good guy. He told me it had been a decade and my mom and I should be over it, and I should not have taken sides. I told him he should have kept the affair from me then instead of letting it come out for me to hear. But another element of this story is that the affair first started after my mom almost died losing my sibling. The pregnancy went badly wrong and almost took her and did take her chance to have more children. All the while her husband and friend were getting together behind her back. Comment 1. Mostly because my mom has encouraged it up to now. But since turning 18 I have considered dropping the rope and having nothing to do with them. I can't say I enjoy having them in my life. It was just one of those things you do because it's expected. For the most part, I'm over that. Comment 2. The siblings will 100% be weaponized. This guy is just one of those people who exists as a reminder to the rest of us that as inconvenient and painful as it can be, having a sense of shame is a good thing, because the alternative is holy shit. But I think some part of him must be distantly aware of how monstrous he's been, because that's why he digs in so hard trying to get OP and their mom to validate the delusion that he isn't. When OP refuses, he'll have to use his other kids for it, including slandering OP to them as someone who's limited contact because they're just a shitty sibling/pawn of their bitter mother. So walking away from all of them is a sad position to be forced into, those poor fucking kids. And I really hope OP can have a relationship with them when they're all older and fully appreciate what a psycho their father is, but I don't see a healthy alternative right now. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for ruining my dad's chances of winning my mom back? My 25F parents are getting divorced after 24 years of marriage. My mother was basically cheating on my father for months before he found out. I put cheating in quotation marks because my dad was a horrible husband. So I was actually happy she found someone else. Once my mom said she wanted to separate, my dad completely changed. He said he didn't want her to leave, begging her to stay, saying he will change. He actually got on medication for his depression, started being more affectionate, and asked for couples counseling that he said my mom agreed to do. One day I go to my parents' house and my dad says he wants my help winning my mom back. We are in the backyard and mom is in the house. I told him no because I want what's best for her and he's nodded. He said that he has severe depression, and saying that he's bad without acknowledging how depression can affect a person isn't right. He said he was disappointed cause if the genders were reversed I would admonish him for cheating and breaking the vow of marriage. Now this is where I might be the asshole. My dad is doing everything he can to win my mom back, so I said that while I won't help him, I wouldn't interfere in his plans and would stop talking about him with her. Me and my mom talk a lot about how shitty of a husband my dad is. At one point in the conversation he says, in a calm tone, "I know you're not going to like this, but I'ma say it anyway. When one parent gives you gifts and takes you on trips and buys you things, of course you're going to side with them even if they're wrong because you don't want to lose that." This made me
so
angry. I have a genuine friendship with my mom, whereas even though my dad was a fantastic father, SAHD, gave us everything we ever wanted/needed, I don't necessarily enjoy being around him. I hang out with him sometimes out of obligation, but it's very forced and I know he can tell and he's told me this hurts him in the past. I basically went off saying fuck you and how dare you and that he had no right to question my character. And the reason I like mom more is because he's no fun, unmedicated, he's rude and rigid, and it has absolutely nothing to do with money. I am screaming, but up until this point our convo was calm and we were almost whispering so my mom wouldn't hear. My dad keeps trying to shush me, but I don't let up. I go to my mom and tell her what he just said, and he keeps looking at me, saying, "Why are you doing this to me? I can't believe you're doing this to me, we were just having a calm conversation." I say I am leaving and my mom gets in the car with me. Later my dad says that after my blow up, my mom no longer wanted to go to couples therapy. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for blowing up and making it harder for my dad to win my mom back? Edit. I'm editing to add that the reason I am so involved is because both my parents talk about the other to me. My dad started first, and my mom only got involved when I asked her if she was abusing him in the way he was claiming. But they both are wrong for this. Other important info, my dad told me my whole life that he has bipolar disorder, and that's why he was so messed up. I've sent him books and podcasts and articles and lectures for years about this disorder. I made my entire family start therapy 2 years ago, and I said that my only request for dad is that he get medicated because he knows he has bipolar disorder. He laughed and said, "I was waiting for you to say that. I'm not even bipolar." The therapist then got a little curt with me and said I shouldn't armchair diagnose just because I was a psych major. My dad just nodded along. This is just one of his serious manipulations, but he does it to me often and that's why our relationship is fractured. Comment 1. I'm like this daughter unfortunately, both my parents have been using me as their carrier pigeon to hurt each other for decades. Since I was 6 years old when my asshole father started cheating and leaving our family periodically then coming back. My parents finally divorced in 2017, sold their house in 2018 and stopped living together. My dad is an ass and he deserves every bit of shitty karma that came his was, having to realize how to adult by himself for the first time ever in his 60s. He realizes by now how he had it made with my mom who did everything. Typical weaponized incompetence from my boomer father. I love my mom and I actually enjoy her company, we travel together and see each other weekly, we're tight and we like the same things. However, when the topic turns to my father, I still feel like she's telling me too much. I don't want to know about him. He doesn't reach out, he doesn't share, he is selfish, narcissistic, self-absorbed and lies as easily as he breathes. I'm trying to edge him out of my life and my mom telling me about him is not helping. I did tell her that I want less info and she agreed it was better. She thought she was helping me by telling me how she manages the toddler tantrums my father has so I could learn from her how to manage him without him affecting my mental health. But I told her I don't want to know about him and I don't want a relationship beyond seeing him twice a year, for Christmas and my birthday. She was receptive. I encourage OP to be honest with her mom because being triangulated like this and being too enmeshed is probably second nature to her like it is for me, and you have to make a hard stop. Comment 2. Also that the mom only started talking to her about his behavior when OP confronted her asking if she was really abusing him like he said. Now if she was of course she's gonna deny it, but with the dad purposely lying to her that he had bipolar disorder, and telling her this repeatedly, and then purposely making her look like she's making things up to the therapist making them think that she is diagnosing her dad, when he literally told her this I'm gonna go with this was just another manipulation by him. OP had been living with these people her entire life, she's not just going by what her mom says or her dad say. as apparently she can't trust what he says if he's lying about having a mental health issue. I think there's a big difference between a parent babbling secret to their adult child about marriage issues and two people in the same home discussing issues in the home. NTA, he was trying to use you to fix his relationship with your mom. When you said you just wanted to stay out of it, he said you're just siding with your mom because she bribes you. I'd be pissed too. You lived with them your entire life. You saw their relationship and you saw both of their behavior. You formed your own opinions and your own bonds. It's commendable for someone to be a SAHP, but it doesn't give them blanket immunity for everything. I'm glad you and your mom have each other. She'll need the support. Also, my cold/cynical brain wants to know just how much of being a SAHP was actually wanting to stay at home and take care of the kids, and how much of it was not wanting to go find a job, be financially responsible for the family exc. I mean, he's lied and manipulated up by saying he has a mental disorder. Or he just lied then in therapy because he didn't want to medicate. Regardless, he threw up under the bus to cover his ass.